receiving endless free RC cars, that sounds like a dream to a lot of people. And a lot of people who watch me and some of the other larger channels are kind of looking at us thinking, these guys are living the dream. They're getting free RC cars turning up. They're getting endless amounts of content because of the free RC cars. Can it get any better for these people? Now, this is a topic we are going to cover because I have seen comments on my channel, on other people's channels, from people saying, I wish companies would send me free RC cars. What does it take for me to get a free RC car? I think we need to kind of dive a little bit deeper and take a look at what it takes to actually get to that point before a company will reach out to you as a new RC YouTuber, or someone who's doing YouTube for the first time. There's some stuff you kind of have, there's certain points you have to reach before you'll be appealing to companies like Relalo, MJX, Banggood, Team Corrali, or Team Associated, all the different brands out there. There's endless RC brands. Before you become appealing to them, you kind of have to reach certain milestones, and you have to do things in a certain way on your channel for them to then approach you, or if you approach them, and say, look, I'd like a free RC car, your latest RC car, to feature on my channel. You've got to reach certain points before you'll be appealing to them. Now, we're going to cover some of the points in this episode 9 of the More Beyond RC podcast. Now, I think this is definitely something worth doing because I do see this quite a lot. I do see a lot of new channels struggling to, get it off the ground and to try and establish themselves and everything else. And yes, it is incredibly difficult because there's already a lot of large channels out there. I mean, I've been going for almost 5.5 years now. And when I first started in 2020, there was already large channels out there, and it's tough. It's tough trying to break through. You're trying to get yourself listed up higher on the search results and everything like that, and the larger channels at that time would always be prioritized, and your video would end up at the bottom of the list. I think YouTube have made some changes lately where it doesn't really matter of your channel size or how many subscribers you've got or anything like that. You depending on what it is you've posted on the platform, will appear on either the homepage or further up the search results. I think YouTube are trying their best to help the smaller channels. We're seeing that more and more, and I think that's the right thing to do, because there are a lot of small channels out there who are trying so desperately hard to get bigger, to hit 5k, 10k, 20k, 50k. There's so many channels out there who are struggling. Now, what I would say is, in the early days of starting a YouTube channel, you need to be consistent. And what I used to do was try to make videos regularly to, quality wise, the highest I could do. Now, I was a fairly inexperienced content creator back then. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was kind of just uploading anything and seeing what worked. And you need to keep an eye on the videos that work. And once you've kind of got a bit of a formula, you just kind of rinse and repeat. And that is kind of the way to do it. You just, as long as you're consistent and as long as you're posting content that people want to see, the channel's going to grow. You're going to get a following, and people will subscribe to you. And they're not only subscribing to the RC content, but they're also investing their time into you as a person. They start to like your personality, they like you as a person, and regardless of what you're posting on your channel, people are buying into you as a person as well. It's definitely something that's worth remembering if you are just starting a channel. Now, I would say be consistent, upload high quality videos focused of course on RC cars or helicopters, planes, whatever you want to do. And if you're listening to this podcast and you're in an entirely different niche, then the same thing applies. Just record and upload high quality videos regardless of whatever niche you're in. And this could be reviews, unboxings, just you taking your cars out, bashing, racing, tutorials, repairing cars, custom builds, or just showcasing your RC car. Anything. Just be consistent. Be consistent, upload all the time. If you can, I would say 2 to 3 times a week in the early days, or at the very least twice a week, I think I used to aim for. it's just important you don't upload once a month, because that's really not going to help your efforts. I think in the first 2 years of building a YouTube channel, you have got to go all out. You've got to be posting regularly, replying to comments, planning the next videos like a week or two in advance. If you want to do it, you've got to do it properly, and it's the only way you're going to get, it's the only way you're really going to grow a successful channel, to the point where, again, you may be approached by RC companies who want to send you free stuff, because that is the topic of this video: free RC cars. You know, how do you get them? How do you get them? What does it take to get free RC cars? Because it doesn't just happen. You know, it didn't just happen for me. It didn't just happen for the other channels out there, the larger channels. What do you do? What does it take to get to the point where you've got endless free RC cars turning up at your front door, and companies not begging to work with you, but it kind of feels like they're throwing this stuff at you? You know, they want you to feature their stuff on your channel. What does it take to get there? So, of course, we've covered, you know, being consistent, uploading regularly and everything else. Now, do you stick to one part of the, you know, the RC niche? Do you stick to mini crawlers, budget RC cars, you know, speedrun cars, scale trucks? Do you stick to one area of the market, or do you do a little bit of everything? Now, some people would say find something you like, you know, and just do that. If you like crawlers, just do crawler videos. If you like budget RC cars, do that. If you like speedrunning, do speedrun stuff. I would say, and what worked for me, was kind of doing a little bit of everything. I would say my channel has always been very much budget RC car focused. I was incredibly fortunate in the early days of my channel, because Banggood reached out, you know, pretty early on, and of course, you know, there's a lot of Banggood special cars out there, a lot of sort of the budget cars which have turned out to be really good. And at that time, one of the most popular ones was the 144001 by WL Toys, and that, you know, when they sent me one of those, that really helped for me to grow the channel, because it was a really good budget affordable RC car, which I then did some upgrade videos on, and the audience, you know, who were watching me and subscribed to me, really liked watching the process and watching what I did. So that really helped. So I had Banggood helping me very early on, you know, on my channel, which really helped in the budget side of things. I then threw in the occasional more expensive RC car. Now, I was out the hobby for years, so I was just getting back into the hobby, and I, you know, restarted. I kicked everything off with an Armour Granite, which was a brushed version, and again I did some upgrade videos on that and everything else. And then once Banggood got in contact, I kind of started going down the budget RC car route. And I think for me, most of the people who follow my channel, subscribe to my channel, love the budget RC cars, love the budget stuff. There's a lot of people who watch me who don't have really high budgets where they can go and spend $500 to $1,000 or £1,000 on an RC car. And I did focus in the first, I would say, 4 years, 3 to 4 years, primarily on budget RC cars. Yes, I threw the occasional 6S car in there, and I did some videos on the X Max and everything else, but the majority of the videos on my channel were budget RC cars, and I think that appealed to a lot of people, and I really do think that has helped me to grow to the size that I am. And I'm 52.4k, you know, as of today doing this video, and I'm far from being a huge channel. You know, the ultimate goal for me to kind of, you know, feel in my own mind that I've kind of made it on the platform, or, you know, at the very least get in there on the platform, is of course that magic number, which is 100k. You know, every creator out there who starts a channel would love to reach 100k, because then you get the play button, and you kind of feel, look, all of the years of all the effort I've put in over the years, I've finally got to that point where I got the play button, I got the letter from the CEO saying, you know, you've done great things on the platform and everything else. That's kind of the point that I'm not even sure actually if they still do the play buttons. I hope they do, because I'm hoping one day I get there and I want to display it on my wall. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if they still do the play buttons. I'll have to look into that. But yeah, anyway, that's the ultimate goal for a lot of creators. And to get to that takes an enormous amount of effort, an enormous amount of money. And that's kind of what we're going to move on to. The next point is going to be in the early days. starting a YouTube channel, RC channel, whatever channel you're doing, I would say, you've got to be prepared to spend a fairly large amount of money, depending on what your niche is. If it is RC related, then yeah, RC is an expensive hobby, because you're essentially buying products to feature on your channel, and that is your money. You're buying these cars or planes, helicopters, whatever it is you're doing, that's coming out of your money. Now, it can get expensive really quickly, and that's exactly what happened to me. I was spending endless amounts of money on buying cars to feature on my channel and everything else, because I wasn't getting any help. I wasn't being approached by companies who would, were saying, oh, we're going to send you a free truck and everything else. I wasn't big enough. My channel was too small for any large RC company out there to approach me and say, yeah, we're going to send you a free RC car. It just wasn't happening. So the only way you're going to break through, all the different channels out there and kind of get yourself growing and everything else is to spend your own money. And that's literally it. You have to be prepared to invest quite a large amount of money. I mean, I've lost track of how much I've spent on the RC hobby, because I'm firmly back into it now. I'm doing the channel and everything else. I mean, just on recording equipment, cameras, editing stuff, I've probably spent 5,000 up. Yeah, I would say way more than five grand, £5,000, even more than that, probably 7+, and that's just on editing stuff, camera equipment, microphones, constantly upgrading things. It's a lot of money. And yeah, you don't always need 4K mirrorless cameras and all the other stuff. You don't need none of that. You can just make videos using your phone and a fairly decent microphone. But as your channel grows, you'll find yourself wanting to upgrade certain areas of your equipment because you want to keep the quality. You want to keep high quality videos. And the higher the quality of the videos you're producing, of course, you are going to be more appealing to potential business opportunities, because people, especially businesses, RC companies, they want to see high quality. They want to see good quality. They want to see good quality audio, good presentation. They're looking at all of that stuff. These companies have, research and development departments and marketing people and everything else. They're looking at all of that stuff, and they're looking at your channel. They're looking at the quality of your videos and how you're producing them, how you're uploading them, your titles, your descriptions. They're looking at everything, and they're looking to see whether or not you are a potential, you're a potential channel to create a new partnership who they can kind of go into business with in a way. They're looking for people who are producing high quality content, and it could mean that you at some point, once you've done your first 100 videos using your phone camera, because that's what I did. I used my Samsung S10, I think it was. You may get to a point where you think, right, I need to go take that next step, improve my lighting, improve my camera equipment, and I need to improve my video editing skills as well. Now, you don't have to be a master when it comes to video editing. I always find it amusing when people say, yeah, but I don't make videos because I can't edit. There are some basic editing suites out there now. There are some basic editing suites which don't take any skill at all, and it doesn't take a lot to create content that's engaging and professional looking. And again, I haven't completed YouTube. I've got a long way to go myself, and I certainly am not the best when it comes to creating videos. And some of you may not see errors or mistakes in a lot of my videos, but they're there. They are there. You just don't notice them because you're too busy watching the RC car or whatever it is I'm showing you. But you don't notice the little mistakes that I've made, because we all make mistakes. Now, you don't have to be the best when it comes to video editing. You just need to try to put together content that's engaging, single take videos where you just kind of stick the camera on and talk to it for 30-40 minutes up to an hour. Yeah, those videos don't really work because people tend to get bored quite quickly. You want to have camera angles which are changing quite frequent, if possible, onboard footage, drone footage. You could even try drone footage. You kind of have to create videos in a certain way to get your engagement up, because I think that's when I noticed some good growth on my channel and more engagement from people who watch me, was when I kind of, it sounds really bad, but became less boring. Some of you may watch me and think you're still boring, and that's fine. You know, everyone's got their own personal opinion on creators, and I'm not looking to impress everybody and everything else. But I'd like to think by now, you know, sort of 5.5 years, I can put together a fairly decent video. And, you know, the way I see it is I must be doing something right, because I've worked with endless RC companies. You know, the list is huge now. And I've built a fairly decent following, you know, 50,000 plus. So I must be able to put together a fairly decent video. You know, at the very least, that's what I tell myself. You may completely disagree, and again, that's fine. I'll take criticism on. I'll take any criticism, and I'll work with it. You know, for example. Now, I think the biggest thing RC companies are looking for is how well your audience engages with your channel, your videos, and what it is you're putting onto the platform. Now, I have seen channels who will post a really good video, upload it to YouTube, people are commenting, and no one replies. You know, the creator who's put this video up doesn't even reply to their viewers. You know, up to a week later, still no replies. Now, the best piece of advice I can give is try to respond to as many comments as you can, even if you're busy. Find time in the day, or set aside an hour or 2 hours, depending on how many comments you get on a daily basis. I mean, I get quite a few, but that's because my channel's a fairly decent size. I can't always get to them straight away, but at the very least, I'll try to get to most comments. Now, you need to get your engagement up. You need to engage with your audience. You need to reply to questions. You need to build your community, and build a loyal community as well. Because if you can build a loyal and engaged audience, that is incredibly attractive to RC brands. That is incredibly attractive, because they will see that, and they will see that your audience have trust in you, they believe in you, and if you're featuring a new product and it does turn out to be really good, the audience who are watching your videos, or subscribers, viewers, whatever you want to call them, will be incredibly engaged in that video, which could lead to a sale. It could lead to someone clicking from your video through to the brand's website and buying a new RC car. That's what they want. They want people to buy their product. Again, like I said earlier on in the episode, you're kind of becoming a salesperson. Now, that's what brands want. If you want free RC cars and you want to create a monetized channel and become kind of like a promotional channel where you're featuring new products and everything else, you've got to be prepared to do your job. And whether or not you like that, if you're going down that route and accepting free RC cars and everything else, you're now doing a job. You're doing a job to try and sell that product to the audience, providing it's good. And if it isn't good, it's very important you say that. It's very important you say, this isn't any good, don't bother buying it. And yes, that could upset the brand who you've just managed to get on board. You've just managed to get this massive RC company on board, have sent you their first free RC car, and it was terrible. You still have to, unfortunately, and as bad as it may sound, you still have to tell your subscribers, don't buy one. It's terrible. Because if you don't, and you say it's brilliant and people go out and buy one and it turns out to be terrible just because you're trying to please the brand, and then everyone realizes this guy lied to me, he told me this truck was good and it's turned out to be terrible, you are going to lose subscribers overnight. You're going to lose that engagement. You're going to lose the loyalty of the people who are watching your channel. Please don't do that. It's just not worth it. I know it's quite exciting to get a new brand on board and everything else. Just don't do it, because in the long run, what you're trying to achieve is a presence on the platform. You're trying to grow a channel. You're trying to get to a point where you're getting regular partnerships, regular sponsorships, because then it means you don't have to spend as much of your own money building your channel. It's kind of being paid for by RC brands. You know, they're sending you stuff to put on your channel, which means you've got videos to make every week without you having to invest too much of your own money. You know, you're getting paid to do this. You're getting the paid promotion, you're getting affiliate, you're getting money for affiliate links, you're getting YouTube ad revenue, you're getting all different streams of income coming your way. You're doing a job. You are doing a service. So it's kind of like a public service. You're helping potential buyers to find out whether or not it's worth spending their hard-earned cash on a new product, whilst also trying to keep the brand happy. It can become incredibly stressful knowing what to say, knowing, kind of thinking to yourself, I don't want to mess this up, I don't want to lose the brand. It can become incredibly difficult. And going back to what I said at the beginning, some people may think we're living a dream and we're getting endless free products, and it must be great having RC cars turning up at your door, and wow, I haven't had to spend my own money this month. Yeah, it does feel nice, and it does feel like a dream sometimes, and it feels like, as another famous RC YouTuber would say, it does feel like Christmas every day. Let me know in the comments who that is. Now, it does feel like that, but to get to that point isn't easy. It can be stressful, and you need to know how to do it the right way if you want to continue growing on the platform. And I'm still growing. I've got a long way to go. I'm only halfway to 100k, which is my overall goal. I have got a long way to go, and it's going to take me probably another 2 to 3 years, if possible, if I can get to that. But things are going fairly well on the channel. Things are going well. It's at that point now where it's kind of ticking over, doing its own thing. I can upload once, twice a week without stressing too much, because the back catalogue of 500 plus videos is, still making ad revenue and everything else. So the channel's doing well, and it's growing at a fairly decent rate and everything else. But, it was hard to get it to that point. It's not easy. Now, moving on, let's talk about subscriber count. Does it matter? Do you need to have a big subscriber base? Do you need to be getting loads of views to get sponsorships on your channel and everything else? Now, look, essentially, there's no magic number. There's no magic number, but brands will typically look for channels with a fairly healthy subscriber count. And when I say healthy, I would say 1,000 plus. I would say 1,000 plus, and you're going to be looking at even larger subscriber counts if you're looking for more expensive products, like your sort of 4S, 6S cars and everything else. I would say you're probably going to be looking at between 10 to 20k, I would say. And if you do manage to get some kind of brand partnership secured and you're under 10k and you are talking about expensive products, well, you've hit the jackpot, because it can be incredibly hard. And the only reason you may have done it is because your channel is incredibly engaging. You're getting decent views on your videos. Even though you're not a massive channel, you're still getting decent views. And they may even ask you to kind of prove that. They may ask you to send a screenshot of your analytics or how many views you got in a month. They may ask to see that. So don't be shocked if a company reaches out and says, look, you've got 8,000 subscribers. We only usually work with channels which are 10 to 20,000 when we're talking about expensive products. Can you show us your view count on a monthly basis, so we can kind of and show us where in the world people are watching your videos? So you may have to send 2 screenshots. Don't be shocked by that. Don't be shocked, because they're not looking into your personal business. What they're looking at is whether or not you would be a good fit for their brand. They're looking to see whether or not you would be, whether or not you're worthy to receive a $400, $500, $600 RC car. And are they going to get any return from this? Because they've got to pay for the car to get shipped over. They're giving you the car for free. They are going to want something back. They are going to want you to, they're going to want something back for what they're doing. They're giving you something to get something. That's how business works, right? Now you've got to be prepared to look at, to let them look at your view counts and your all the different figures in your analytic, your YouTube Studio analytics and everything else. Just don't be shocked if they ask to see that. But look, essentially, there's no magic number. Now, I would say, looking at, past experience when I was sort of in the early days of my channel, Banggood reached out at around 1,000 subscribers. I was newly monetized. I don't even think I'd received my first YouTube payment, from ad revenue, which the very first one wasn't a lot. I think it was about 50, 60 pounds maybe, almost $100, not a huge amount of money. But still, it was free money for doing something I enjoyed. So even though that doesn't sound like a lot of money, it was really exciting at the time. Really exciting. Of course, these days it's a little bit more because I'm getting more videos and, everything. I'm getting more views on my videos and everything else. So, of course, that's quite a lot more these days. But back then, that was fairly good considering my channel size and the views that I was getting and everything else. But look, there's no magic number. I would say you need to aim for at least 1,000 before you may get emails. And if you've got 600, 700, 800 and you're thinking, why has no one reached out yet? It's because you're not big enough. I can't sugarcoat it. You know, you're not big enough. You need to get to 1,000 plus. And that's just the start. You know, if you may get some sort of cheap toy grade cars sent to you. You know, you may get small brushed models sent to you. Once you kind of get to close to 5k, up to 10k, you may get approached by other companies who want to send you some more expensive cars, you know, brushless versions instead of brushed versions, for example. And then you can continue building the channel, using the cars that are being sent to you, and, you know, creating content and everything else. You can, as you progress and as you grow, of course, bigger, larger companies are going to reach out and you're going to get more expensive products sent to you. That's just how it works. So that's pretty much what it takes. You know, it's incredibly difficult for any niche. You know, it doesn't just have to be the RC niche. It can be any channel out there who's doing, you know, particular products or whatever. It can be incredibly hard, very expensive, and, you know, you've got to be prepared to put the effort in. Clicking record on a camera and uploading an hour-long video of you talking, you know, without any sort of camera angle changes, B-roll footage, close-ups of, you know, whatever, just showing that you're making the effort is what it takes. You've got to make the effort to make your videos stand out amongst the rest. If 100 channels are doing single take videos, which are, you know, 30 minutes long, which can get boring quite quickly, and then there's one channel who's doing 8-minute videos with lots of quick cuts, you know, music used well on the videos, action footage, you know, GoPro footage, 360 footage, drone footage, you know, good presenting, voiceover stuff maybe. You know, I'm saying, I mean, I don't do all of this in my videos. You know, sometimes if I've got more time, I'll put more effort into a video. If I haven't got time, but I really want to get the product out there, I want to show you guys, then it may be a bit, you know, a bit shorter, a bit easier. But I would say put in as much effort as you can when it comes to, you know, the video production side of things, especially in the early days, because there are so many large channels now. It is going to become harder and harder to try and break through and to try and make a good channel, a good quality channel. It's going to get hard, you know, to be recognized. At least it's going to get incredibly hard, if it isn't already incredibly hard. So I would say just invest the time, invest some money, because that's the only way you're going to do it in the early days. If you want to get up to that 1,000 subscribers, you've got to be prepared to spend some money. That is it. There is no way of beating around the bush. You're going to spend money, because it's the only way you're going to get content to produce on the channel, unless you're fortunate enough to have, you know, if you're friendly with an RC YouTuber, or you're friendly with someone who has loads of RC cars and they're always getting the latest and greatest products, and they might be able to help you and lend you some cars or give you some cars, then you may be fortunate enough to be in that position. But I would say 99% of people won't be in that position. And they're going to be buying their own cars. They're going to be doing reviews of brand new cars that are just coming out, which cost $600-700, £600-700. That's their money. That's your money. That wasn't for free, you know. And it can get expensive quite quick. It can escalate massively. It really can. It can get incredibly expensive. But then once you've kind of done it and you've invested that time and money at the beginning, the channel starts looking after itself. You know, very much like mine. It's looking after itself now. It's ticking over. It's doing its thing. I'm getting emails from companies who want to work with me. You know, most recently I've been doing some helicopter videos on my channel, something I would never have done before. But I've had some pretty nice helicopters turning up. And it's because, you know, I did one video just for a bit of fun. And then, you know, the company who sent me that first helicopter, which was a bit cheaper, just to kind of get to know me, to get to know my style, whether or not I can, you know, put together a good video for their brand. Once I did it, I got approached by other companies saying, oh, we're going to send you, we'd like to send you another helicopter and another helicopter, and then this and this and this. So you've kind of got to do it show people you can do it, show companies you can do it, and they'll reach out and they'll say, look, you've put together a really good video, you'll be really good for our brand, and we want to work with you. Are you up for it? And then it's down to you whether or not you say, yes, I am, or no, I'm not. I just want to do car videos on my channel. You've got to just put the work in. You've got to put the work in. You've got to grow. And if you're, like I say, close to 1,000 and you're wondering why no one's reached out yet, again, you're not big enough. You're just not big enough. And that is it. No one's going to send you a $500 RC car when you've got 5 subscribers. So when I see people putting comments on videos saying, Rolalo, send me Rolalo, send me a car, they're probably laughing. And I don't mean that in a horrible way. I really don't. But I'm all about being truthful on this channel and my, the second channel and everything else. I'll tell you the truth, they're probably laughing. And everyone else in the comments is also laughing at you as well, because they're not just going to hand it over. You've got to put the work in, just like I did, just like all the other channels did out there. You've got to put the work in before you're going to get anything out of it. And that is it. Simple as that. So guys, I hope it's kind of opened up a little bit more information for you about, building an RC channel, which may be appealing to RC companies out there who may potentially want to work with you. I really hope this has been helpful, especially for the people starting out, the people who are trying to get big on the platform. I hope you've got something from this video. And again, I'm not here to offend. It's my job to try and help you. I've gone through this process. For the last 5.5 years, I've been going through exactly the same thing. First 2 years, I got very little help. Very little help. A lot of it was all me. It was me finding the money to create content and do things on the channel and everything else. That was all me. I had no help from major brands. Only recently, things are getting good, and I'm, at a point now where the channel's a decent size and the bigger companies are reaching out and everything else. But it's taken a lot of work to get to that point. And I could have given up many times in the last 5 years plus. There was many times where I got close to giving up, close to deleting the channel and saying, look, I've had enough. And most of it is because of the stress involved. The stress and the financial strain it can cause. Because RC is an expensive hobby, and so many people forget that it is. There is a budget end to the hobby as well, but in general, the hobby is an expensive one, and you can end up spending a fortune, and that's it. That is the truth of it, and not everyone wants to accept that it's an expensive hobby, but it is a very expensive hobby. Anyway, let me know in the comment section down below if you've got anything from this, because I always like hearing from you guys. When I do these podcast episodes, I always like hearing from you guys, especially the new creators out there or the people who are trying to grow their channel. I do like hearing from you. I like hearing about the stresses that you're facing. What is it you're struggling with? I love to hear about all that stuff, because again, like I say, I know the feeling. I know how it feels. I know how it feels to kind of think to yourself, why does no one want to work with me? And most of the time it's because sometimes you may be in denial when you need to tell yourself, I'm not big enough. I'm not big enough. I need to keep going. I need to work hard. I need to break through the through the barriers and hit certain milestones. And then hopefully one day someone will reach out and say, we'd like to work with you. You just need to keep going, be consistent, do what you like. I would say target a section of the market which is quite popular. That could be budget RC cars, for example. It's a very popular area of the market, and again, I think that's what's helped to grow my channel, mostly doing budget inspired RC cars. Focus on that if you want to, focus on crawlers, whatever it is you like. High quality production, once again, I would say put together a good video, which is, my opinion, the sweet spot is between 8 and 15 minutes. I would say anything longer than that, you're going to start losing people unless it's, really engaging. Single take stuff, clicking record on a GoPro, putting it on the table and talking. Some people like that. Some people do like that, and of course there are channels out there who do that. And again, I have nothing, if that's what you enjoy doing, and if that's what's growing your channel, then carry on. Don't take my word for it. Just because I've said that doesn't grow a channel, that's just my opinion. I tried that stuff, didn't really work. You can see on your analytics, you can see a line, and you can kind of see when you lose people. And when I was doing that stuff in the early days, the single take stuff, I was losing people. It's only once I cut that out and I started doing kind of sort of faster pace camera angle changes, B-roll, all the other stuff, that's when the engagement started going up, because you're kind of keeping, because the screen is constantly changing, the video angles are constantly changing. There's close-ups of a car, then it goes back to zoomed out, then back in again, and because it's constantly changing on the screen, there's always something new for the viewer to look at. So it kind of keeps them engaged a little bit more, rather than just watching you talk for half an hour to a camera. That doesn't always work. There is people out there, there's a group of people out there who do like videos like that. But what worked for me, again, I don't want any channels to be offended, because I know there are channels out there who do videos like that, and that is fine. If that's what you like doing, if that's what your viewers like, and you like doing longer videos and everything else, do it. Do it if that's what makes you happy. All I'm saying is, what helped me to continue growing over the years was to look at the analytics, look where I'm losing people, look what I need to change, and then kind of go out there and try it. Once I did that, once I started changing my videos a little bit, once I started doing certain things to try to make the videos more engaging, using text, again, like I say, camera angle changes, all the other bits, you kind of engage with the audience a little bit better, and it keeps them locked in a little bit better. You're much better off having an 8-minute video that someone has watched all the way through because it was engaging, rather than a 60-minute video which someone only watched for 20 seconds because they looked at it, see that it was single take, and thought, I'm not sitting through an hour of that, and then click away. So you're much better off having a shorter video which has got loads of information packed into it in a much quicker time, rather than a really long video. And sometimes you see like videos up to an hour long that don't even have chapters. So when people are looking to buy a new product and all they want to see is how fast it goes on, out the box on 2S, 3S, 4S, these 60-minute long videos don't even have, 30 to 60-minute long videos don't even have chapters. So this poor viewer has to sit through half an hour of footage, or try and click through to find the bit that they want to see. Now, if the video is 8 minutes long and it's quick and it's engaging and everything else, they're going to get a whole bunch of information in that 8 minutes, and they'll be able to decide at the end of that 8 minutes whether or not that is a product that they want to buy. That increases engagement, and again, like I say, that's what worked for me. Not all of my videos are shorter. Most of my videos, review videos, are between 8 to 15 minutes long. That for me, I found that that's the sweet spot. When it comes to shorts, that's a topic for another day, because shorts can be good at growing a channel. Short videos can be good to grow a channel, but they don't always help when it comes to engagement. And when it comes to revenue, you don't really get paid a huge amount from shorts compared to long form videos. Anyway, that's a topic for another day. I don't want to go off into another direction. This is already a long one. But again, like I say, I hope you've got something from this. Let me know in the comments section down below. If you're a new channel starting out, have you been approached by an RC company? What was your subscriber count when you got your first sort of paid promotion, or your first sort of free RC car? Let me know in the comments section down below. So of course, this was episode 9. Believe it or not, episode 9 of the More Beyond RC podcast. Wow. How have we done 9 episodes? It's all good. This is what I like doing. This is what I enjoy. It's raw. It's the truth. This is what I enjoy. So there's going to be many more episodes to come. Now, episode 10, I think I may do it live. I think I may do episode 10 live, and yes, I'm hoping I can stick the webcam on as well, so it won't just be my voice, but you'll also see me on the webcam as well. I'm hoping to do it live if I can get it all set up properly, and I'm hoping to get a couple of special guests in who can kind of come on and have a 10-15 minute chat with us as well, or less. Again, that's if I can make it work properly, because doing a podcast, doing a recorded podcast is a lot easier than doing it live. It shouldn't be that much more difficult, providing I can get the software set up. So it may be cool to do a live one, and I think you guys would appreciate it as well, doing it live, answering comments, and just kind of chilling out, having a bit of a chat about a certain topic. Yeah, I think it'll be good. Right, guys, we're going to end it there because this is getting long, and I do like talking, as you know, and I can continue going and going and going, but I'm not, because we did have a topic to cover today, and we don't want to go off into another direction. Right, hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll catch you on episode 10, which is hopefully going to be live. Cheers, guys. See you soon.